Welcome to Random Thoughts, Some Useful, where we dive into inspiring stories that uplift and empower. Today's episode is a special one. We're joined with Army combat veteran Brandon Keel, here to share his powerful journey of overcoming PTSD, building a nonprofit for veterans, and raising awareness about suicide prevention. Brandon's story is raw, real, and full of heart as he opens up about the struggles veterans face and the importance of finding community and hope. So whether you're a veteran, someone who loves one, or just seeking a message of resilience, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
Notes. I'll probably have 4 or 5 ideas of small businesses stuff. I have a nonprofit I've been trying to build for 4 years now. I was part of the PTSD Foundation. I think I talked to you about that last night.
A little bit, yeah.
And it was one of those really fantastic things that kind of happens. I was struggling big time. I was working security. Overnights, supervisor for a company, so basically had no time. If anybody calls off, I'm the one that has to cover it. And kind of got frustrated and was really drunk one night and crying about my situation, basically. And I kind of was like, fine, whatever, I haven't prayed in a while. Because my mom's like, you should be praying. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, look, I don't know what I want, just need some help. Left it at that, went to bed. No shit. The next day at work, in our manager meeting, the owner of the company was like, hey, I just want to let you guys know we have this thing we're going to start doing here, and it's a combat veteran support group. We're going to have people come in, and you guys can, those that vets can go to this and be able to talk about what's going on. And I ended up jumping in with this group, and we started real small. We only had probably 5, 6 guys, and it blew up real quick. Started going out to veteran events, talking about this is what we want to do. Get just a small group for veterans to talk about their problems and to hold each other accountable and to work through stuff, but also get us out. So ended up, Cabela sponsored us, gave us like 10 or 15 tents, fishing poles, camping gear, all sorts of stuff. And we all went out as, a group and camped up in Flagstaff when I was out in Phoenix. And then it started getting more bigger, the news got involved, and I ended up going to Houston to their camp, got fired from work, mouthed off to the owner, and I shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, mouthed off, and then found myself going, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should go. Told them I wanted to go get help, and I did. Went there for 3 months. Didn't finish the program. Kind of slacked off here and there and just did some dumb shit, and they removed me because I wouldn't listen, which is, now I'm looking back like, shouldn't. It was over something so silly and innocuous, just watching TV. But that's still I was told not to do that. And I did. 3 strikes, you're out. So they sent me home, and the guy I came back with understood there was politics going on, like all things do, and he wanted to promote me and put me in as a group leader, and I would be running Tempe, and it didn't happen. Another guy that showed up from Phoenix that had went there, they ended up giving him the position. But after they gave him the position, he kind of it fell apart, really. And then we had stuff start happening with the group because of the news thing. We started having guys come in that they were veterans, but they weren't combat veterans. And they were coming in, and we're all talking about stuff, and then they'd want to tell their story, but we all know that, dude, you're full of shit. And it caused a bunch of problems, so much so that one guy had threatened to shoot us all, come in and shoot all, because we were telling him, maybe you wouldn't. He got beat up. He was out at a bar, mouthing off, and got beat up by a bunch of dudes, and it broke him in a way that he realized, I'm not badass. I'm weak and this and that, and it messed him up totally. And when he came to us, we were trying to help him, but he wouldn't listen, and then it turned into that. And then shortly after that, the group kind of fell apart. A lot of the OGs, me, some of the original guys that were in it, separated because of how it was being ran. We kind of disagreed with stuff, but from that, what I got from that place, I ended up working for a guy who we did service dog training. Jumped on board with him, worked with him for a year, learned how to train dogs. So
cool.
A lot of things came about it, but the one thing I always thought was, I could do this, and I think I could do it a little better.
Yeah.
Because it's not just me. I got a bunch of people that want to support this and stuff. I've already got the business plan worked out. It's called Operation Patriots and Pets. I love animals. One of the things I realized when I was at Camp Hope, that's the place I went to, I'm blessed because my roommate was able to watch my dog for me. My roommate in Arizona, right? But there are people there that were in there to get help that didn't have family, didn't have no one, right? No one could watch their pets. A couple guys had to give their pets away. That shit broke my heart. So in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. And it's turned into now, after working with a canine guy, we can start a foster group of people that are interested in being able to foster max 4 animals.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. I don't just want you to foster animals. We will come in and teach you basic training so that if you happen to foster a dog from a veteran who needs help, when that veteran gets that dog back, it's going to be better.
I love it.
That's how I advertised on Rover. I did a little stuff on Rover. Tell people the same thing. Like, I'm an apprentice trainer, so your dog, I might be walking him, but he's going to learn stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of stuck at a point right now where it's all there. Really, all I need to do is start the LLC or start the nonprofit. But I can't. I'm a little too scared.
Okay.
I think what scared me the most is when I moved out here and saw how many stray animals there are.
Because the need may not be able to fulfill it.
Yeah. Because it would crush me
to have to turn somebody away.
Yeah, not just turn someone away, but imagine people start bringing their dogs because they know, because people, this person takes care of dogs. I hear about it all the time at Humane Society. Just animals and cats get dropped off.
Oh, goodness.
So I guess that.
Yeah,
so I've kind of been trying right now, focusing on school and figuring out how I can do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's just one small thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, if I had the funding.
Immediately, right now. Yeah. Exactly. Have every single aspect of every bit of it planned out to the second.
Yeah, I already figured out how much I need to get started. I already know how I'll raise funds and what I'll do. I'll do the same thing I did for the PTSD Foundation.
Yes.
Set up a booth, go volunteer at all these events around town. My stepmom used to work for the Oklahoma City Arts Council, so she's the finance director. She has tons of people that I can get connected with. It's just a matter of me pulling the trigger. It's fear or failure.
Yeah.
Really, so.
Interesting. Failure. Let's talk about that for a little bit. I have a different perspective of failure, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Serial entrepreneur and competitive athlete, college athlete, divorced twice, infertility battle, all of the things
Right.
that could be labeled as failure. Yeah. Absolutely, right? Multiple businesses that I either mostly walked away from, let go for one reason or another. So I absolutely have failed in so many different ways throughout life. But at the same time, I learned so much from each one of those experiences, you know what I mean? So, So I don't have that heavy, I failed again, or, that kind of, it was an experience and it was awesome. You know what I mean?
No.
And I learned so much about what I would definitely do different next time. And like you had mentioned earlier, like seeing things that you're like in a position where you can't really make a huge impact in the organization, but you see so many different opportunities to do things differently.
Yeah.
My friend says I should start a podcast, or my handle should be "There's a Better Way," because I'm like, and it's because of the experience that I've had. So my background, I mentioned, so here we are at OCCC, where I started out. I ended up with a scholarship at Panhandle State, and then our coach left to go start a new program at Grayson County in Sherman, Denison, Texas. So I was a junior college and did a year there, had surgery on my shoulder my freshman year, and met a boy before I even left, and all the things. So ended up back here and started, at this point, I was a very competitive athlete in high school and was travel all the time, ball, when I wasn't playing school ball, and I played all the sports too. So very, very active, and I grew up on a farm as well, and very tomboyish, and just, very much outdoors.
Yeah.
And so I've just always been a, go do thing,
Same.
just by how life is, I guess, where I definitely identify with escaping and getting out in nature and, that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
As soon as I was born in Hawaii, my dad was in the Army.
Nice.
We came back, I think, when I was like 3. And then when we came back, my mom said that Granddad had a wiffle ball and a bat and would go in the backyard and just pitch. So by the time I was 8, we moved to Florida. And in Florida, the way they do Pee-wee tryouts is everyone goes in and tries stuff and they see how good you are and then they'll put you where they need you. Well, I came in and as an 8-year-old smoked T-ball, T-ball, coach pitch, machine pitch. So they put me straight to kid pitch.
Oh, wow.
8-year-old with a bunch of 12-year-olds. Went to All-Stars every year. Was fantastic. And then I hit high school. Didn't want to do a damn thing. Wanted to party. I was attractive, so was getting attention from girls then and wanted to go the party route and this and that. And I kind of regret it now because I was so far ahead of everybody. I had the realization of like skill level when my senior year in high school, I ended up going to a new school and played for them baseball on the off season. And everybody had caught up to my skill level. I was not special. I was not that good. It was whatever. But that 3 years off, that's when I realized like, oh man, if I want something, I have to stick with it basically. Yeah. That is funny too. Now when I got out of the Army, I didn't know what I wanted to do really. I didn't do any working out, really nothing, a little hiking here and there, but nothing hardcore. But 3 years ago, I went to help my granddad out. I had that weird, you get that feeling. I knew he was getting up in the age, so right around COVID, I decided that I was going to travel around because I had the ability, the funding to go visit family and just travel the U.S.
Great,
you know what I mean? In my truck and my dog.
Yes.
Went down there to see Granddad, and when I saw him, it was sad. It was scary. When I saw him, I realized, I was like, oh shit. So I told my mom, I was like, Mom, he's got maybe 2 months to live.
Oh, goodness.
Like it would take him 5 minutes to just get up out of bed, catch his breath, then stand up and, go to the thing and get some of the stuff and then walk to the bathroom and brush his teeth. And then it was a struggle for him to eat certain foods. And then he would go sit on the couch and watch sports. And at night it was the same struggle. And it was rough to watch. And I had a realization like, oh shit, I'm 38 or 36 at the time. I was like, if I don't start taking care of myself, I will have problems like this when I'm 80. And as soon as I got back from vacation, I had got a phone call from a friend, the guy I did dog stuff for, and he had ended up being like, hey, this company needs somebody with your background, your physical security background. It's a private investigation company. I think you'd be perfect for it. Hired me. That went great. But I had the money then from this job to start working out, so I decided I'm going to go get a trainer. I rolled into a random gym, a big gym, walked in, got a trainer, was paying him like $450 a month or something ridiculous. But a couple months into it, he's like, yo, you're like strong. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, no, you're strong. I'm like, okay, whatever. Thought he was blowing smoke up my butt because I pay him $450 a month.
Right.
And he's like, no, I had watched something online and a guy had done a powerlifting meet. And I loved it so much that I was like, hey, I'd like to start doing some powerlifting stuff. He's like, okay, we'll do some prep. And in a month, we'll do that. But right now, I just want to focus on form and other stuff. Never touched a barbell. And then out of nowhere, one day I come in, he's like, let's go deadlift. Okay, cool. Never deadlifted before. Teaches me everything. Everything's fine. And then next week, he's like, let's just see how much you can lift. And I'm like, sweet. Okay, cool. Deadlifted 1 plate. No problem. He goes, let's do 2. Deadlifted 2 plates. No problem. He goes, wow. Deadlift. He goes, I hit 3 plates. No problem. And he's like, let's do 4 just for the hell of it. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. No. And get 4 up. And he stopped. He goes, dude, I don't think you understand what you just did. And I was like, he's like, you'd never deadlift before? I was like, no. He's like, not in the Army? I was like, no. I didn't lift in the Army. I just did Army PT and was an airborne. And he goes, no, dude, you're strong. You're real strong. He's like, you have a gift. Most people don't have this gift, and you should run with it. He ended up quitting, but when he quit, he's like, no, you need to, whatever you do, continue with this because you can compete. And I was like, nah, I'm too old. He's like, no, you don't understand. In powerlifting, there's no such thing as too old. Yeah. There are weight classes for every age and every
How old
weight.
Are you?
I'm 40.
40.
40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be 45 in April.
Nice. Yeah. No, I turned 40 in February. Actually, that's a whole other story in itself. We'll get to that. No, but I started lifting, moved out here after my granddad. I visited my dad also, realized he had dementia and some other stuff, so I decided to move here. Bunch of reasons. came out here, immediately got into a gym, and the same thing happened. That trainer was like, hey, you are strong. And then we worked together for about a year, and then last year in March I competed in powerlifting for my first time and would have taken Oklahoma State's records for my age and weight, but I didn't know that they were open or that I could beat them, so I didn't say anything to the judges, so it didn't count. But
oh my gosh,
I finished the
you
lift.
did.
I
Oh,
did
wow.
great. Yeah, it was fun. And now I still lift. I had tried to start a powerlifting club here, but just couldn't really get people to come in. But I still lift. Right now I'm working on, I'm 190, heading down to 165 because I'm going to take the records in Oklahoma for 165 for 40-year-olds. And then also if I can hit a 1,200 pound total between 3 lifts, that means I should be able to qualify for nationals.
Oh, cool.
And that would be sick. and it's funny for me because, like, a lot of... Here, actually. I'll show you the photo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I was 240 at one point.
Oh, wow.
That's huge. It's way too big. I'm only 5'5" and a half. And I say the half, I like to give myself that, you know?
Right.
But no, I went to the VA and it was like, oh God, I've become that. And I didn't like it, so I started working out a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Good job.
yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of commitment, dedication.
You know what's funny is at first it did, and now it's become one of those second nature things. You know, it's like brushing my teeth. I wake up, I do my stuff, I get ready, go work out. Same thing with pool. Started a pool club here. Couldn't get a lifting club, but ended up getting a pool club here.
Okay.
So it worked out beautiful.
Here at the
Yeah,
college.
it's here. They didn't have one. There's a pool table right over there. And I started playing pool last year. My stepmom asked me to come join her team. They needed a low-level player. I had never played. She saw how bad I was and was like, I'll have to teach you, but cool. And started playing, got better.
Saw how bad I was.
Yeah. Oh, I was bad. I'd never shot before. I didn't know how to do anything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then we ended up, the team I was on, we ended up winning playoffs. And we went to Vegas for nationals this year in February.
How fun.
For my 40th birthday.
Oh, how fun.
It was so amazing.
That's cool, yeah.
So,
I bet, yeah.
But the competitive stuff we were talking about, that's kind of, I found my 2 things. Pool and then lifting. And those kind of keep me good, actually. If I hadn't started picking up pool, I would have been a lot worse off than I am now. Because she asked me to come out to Mr. G's, it was Bill's then, but because I would just stay at home. I didn't go out much. So.
Just didn't. Was it a depression or just not wanting to be in the world or
Yes.
both?
When I moved out here, it was rough because my dog got out in my dad's backyard and disappeared.
Oh, no.
And I had him since 2010. I was there when I showed up the day after he was born. Like, he picked me out of the litter. Like, I helped train him as a service dog. He was my homie. And when he disappeared, I about killed myself.
I'm so
I didn't tell
sorry to
anybody
hear
here. None of my
that.
parents knew. A couple of these guys I've talked to about it now.
Yeah.
And I've said some stuff now, but yeah, that was bad.
People don't realize how much people are connected to their animals. I mean, I have a little 12-pound Yorkie, Morkie. She's a Maltese and a Yorkie, and she's a little black and tan and the feistiest thing you've ever met in your life. But I mean, especially through my diagnosis and treatment and, you know, everything. I mean, she was right there with me. I was worried sometimes that I was going to, like, shed chemo on her somehow because she would be so close to me and would not. And she's not when she wants to be near you, then she will. But most of the time she's doing her own thing, you know, that.
That's awesome.
And she would not leave me alone. It was,
She knew.
Oh, yeah.
They can smell cancer. They know it. It's so neat.
Yeah.
You know, so Rowdy disappeared, and that took me a little bit to get over. I'm still kind of not over it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was one of those crazy things. You know the stories that you hear of moms when they lose their daughter or son or something, and they're like, I thought I saw him.
Yeah.
Had that happen all the time.
Oh,
all
man.
the time. I'd be driving around, and I'd see a dog, and I'd be like, oh my God, that looks like him. I'd have to go check. And I drive a motorcycle right now. I'm not driving it because it's starting to get cold, but I'd pull over and go. People would be walking their dog, like, hey, oh, I'm sorry, it's not him, you know.
Yeah.
And tell them what was up, and it was rough. It was rough.
I am so sorry to hear that you had to go through that.
The only thing I can think is that I just hope that somebody...
It's giving him a good life, at least.
He was 13. He was old.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
And he was going deaf. He was a little deaf at the time, too, so it's like... I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he got out once when he was 3, when I lived in Florida, and the police picked him up at a park 6 miles down the road.
Oh my goodness.
And that was just within 10 minutes.
Was he a German Shepherd?
He's an Australian Shepherd, Husky, and Coyote mutt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I got him in college. I was in a generator class learning about diesels and generators. And this hippie who was in class had lived in Taos, New Mexico his whole life, selling weed. And then turned 40 and said, I think I'm going to go to college. Sold everything he had and then moved to Arizona and went to college, and then we met. And he was like, we were talking one day. He's like, dude, you kind of know a lot about dogs. Do you want a puppy? And I was like, I can't afford it. He goes, what if I told you it was a wolf mutt? Sure.
How can I afford it?
So what he had explained to me was that his buddy had a husky wolf mutt, Mexican gray wolf, which is neat because those are all over Southwest and they're making a comeback now. So he had that, and my buddy had an Aussie, and the mom of that one had went out one day, and he had heard a coyote pack, and she disappeared. Oh. He was like, oh shit, she got eaten, whatever. No, she showed up 2 weeks later and then ended up pregnant with coyote pups.
Oh, wow.
And then that's how he had one of those pups, gave the others away, and then brought that one to Arizona after his friend and his friend's dog and then mated. So what I got was this guy, and I don't know how much of the wolf was actually in him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had twice. I was at the park walking my ex-fiance's stepdaughter, and this lady rolled up on me, in Russian accent thick. She's like, where is he from? I was like, whatever. I was like, well, he's from Arizona. Why? She goes, he looks like the wolf dogs of my country, my home country. And I was like, it's kind of funny you say that, because he's got a little coyote and wolf in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was beautiful. I'm sad. I wanted to get puppies off of him, but I couldn't afford another dog ever, so I never really did.
Yeah.
Where's he at? God, all these videos. I did the same thing. I started YouTubing all my workouts. I wanted to record my progress, and I can go find my buddy. Oh, I got him snacks. My buddy gave him.
Oh, that's cool. So you got him on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's huge.
Oh yeah. He's 90 pounds.
A bear.
Yeah, huge paws.
I had a 90-pound pit I had to bring home.
That's rough.
It was awful. I've always had big, large pits.
Did he get aggressive?
No. I lost the coffee shop and I moved downtown, and he was not aggressive. He liked to play, but the apartment complex that I lived in, he was always on a leash, and we had been through obedience school, and I had watched every episode of Caesar, the dog whisperer, like I was very serious dog owner. And every time we would come out of the apartment to take him out, there would be somebody off a leash, whether it was a cat or a dog or something, and it was just too much. I couldn't do it. And then working, and he was in a little apartment all day long. It just wasn't an ideal situation. When I first got him, I was in a 3-bedroom, 2-car garage with a backyard, that kind of thing, and he was given to me. For the first 2 weeks I had him, I called him baby dog because he wasn't my dog, right? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what his name was. So he was wonderful, though. My gosh, we would run 2 miles down Main Street, and he would still be crazy rambunctious. But I would do on command agility stuff in the backyard. Totally wear him out. That was the only way to wear him out, though, was to work his mind. Yeah.
That's what happened with Rowdy when I first got him. I named him Rowdy because we came in, we were at school one day, my buddy's like, hey, let's go smoke, check out the dogs. I'm like, cool. He's like, oh, they opened their eyes. I was like, oh, sweet. We opened the door to his room, and when we opened the door, Rowdy immediately got up, started barking at us. We were like, oh, he's a little rowdy guy, look at this. And then him and his brother Achilles were always fighting, and Achilles looked like a wolf. Oh, wow. I wanted him so bad, but my brother was like, no, it's mine. He was... full wolf color, eyes, beautiful little dog. And Rowdy he's tricolor. But he had kind of almost gold eyes, but not. Mm-hmm. So that would give it away sometimes, but yeah, he was awesome. Yeah. Miss my dog.
I hate that for you.
But what's neat though? Rowdy left, and I ended up I think a couple days after he left, my stepmom's dog had puppies. And then I had taken one of those.
Oh,
He's at the house now. His name is Munchkin.
Munchkin.
Yeah,
Okay, is he a Munchkin?
Oh, yeah, he's a 10-pound poodle Pomeranian mix.
Oh, gosh, okay. Yeah.
Mini poodle, yeah. Which is funny because I never pictured myself having
Same.
a lap dog.
Yeah.
And now he's awesome because me and my buddy who are a trainer, we talk now. He moved to California when I got out here, and we were talking about poodles. He's like, dude, I really think they're the smartest dogs now because he started training a bunch and working with Munchkin. It's the same thing. He's so dang smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah. Teensy's the same way. She was kind of a rescue. My sister and niece got her for her birthday. Their birthdays are real close together, and they wanted a lap dog, and she got very tall. She's got really long legs. Like, she's only 12 pounds, but she's probably this tall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she looks like a little medium-sized dog, but she's a little skinny thing, But she got too rambunctious and crazy, and so next year rolls around and they got another puppy, and I was like, okay, well, I'm taking this one. So
When I was, I always try to tell my friends now, I'm like, look, if you're serious about getting a dog, let me go with you and let me help, because dogs have personalities.
Yes.
There are certain animals for certain people, and I encourage a lot of my friends. Like, a guy recently was like, I want to get a husky. I'm like, nope.
Oh gosh.
No. That is not that's not a beginner dog.
Yeah.
And you know what really sucks too is Game of Thrones actually caused a lot of issues in the dog world because of that show. Everybody got huskies, and then realized like, oh God.
Yeah.
This is more than I can handle.
Yeah.
And then there's an issue in a lot of the shelters for a while with huskies,
Oh,
which is rough.
goodness. Yeah, that's so sad. When I had the coffee shop, we would do adoption drives and stuff like that. I was all about so I had a business partner. My part of it was the enrichment center. It was called Authentic Hertz Coffee Shop and Enrichment Center. And so I would host like parenting classes or relationship classes.
Nice.
Or health classes, or just anything to empower people to live their best life is really all that it was about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a massage therapist then too, so that was intended to be incorporated in that. But then 3 months in, she had decided it would be best to just be a silent partner. She kind of always been a serial entrepreneur too, but stay-at-home mom, and it never really worked outside of the home like that. So It wasn't the best having to be somewhere every day. So anyways, it became mine for the rest of the year, basically. And at that point I was like, okay, this is not how I want my every single day to look, because I was every aspect of the business. I was the manager, I was the food prepper, I was the shopper, and we didn't have enough storage space to have things delivered. So I was at Sam's every single night buying milk again for the next morning, and I had to open every morning.
Oh, gas expenses too. Just adds up.
Yes, yeah. And I was a single mom then, so this is not the life that I want.
Right.
So I got real strategic. I always had, that's where I was going earlier. Funny that we're meeting here, because I, after my freshman year of college playing ball, I came back here and went to school and decided to pursue more artistic side of life. Took a drawing one class and hated every second of it. I left every day crying because everyone in the class had 4 years of art in high school, and I never had done anything artistic, like nothing. I played ball. That was it. Took care of animals and kids.
I bet that was a little overwhelming.
It was. And so we would have to do these class critiques every single class. And oh my gosh, and I was drawing stick figures.
Oh
you know
my
what
God,
I mean?
I didn't even think about that.
It was horrible.
Yeah, that's rough to be critiqued by your peers like that.
That was like the first time that I'd ever been really vulnerable, in front of everyone. Well, not really, because I had my speech class in my freshman year that was horrific also. But anyways.
My speech class, when I first had it 10 years ago, the teacher pulled me and 2 other people aside and was like, you guys need to do this for a living.
You got to do it. If I really would have, I'm just fine talking like this. I'm just fine commanding a group of people. So I ended up in a black and white photography class, and learned how to develop all my film and my, prints and everything here. Yeah.
Oh, you know what's sad?
Yeah. What?
They're getting rid of that film and photography stuff. Yeah. I talked with a guy recently because I was trying to use their booths for my podcast that I do. I needed to record lines and do voice stuff, and he said, we're going to be getting rid of all the film stuff. And I said, why? He goes, because nobody uses film anymore. Nobody cuts film. Nobody does any of that.
It's an art.
I know. They're swapping it out so they can put in facilities for podcasts and streaming.
Oh my goodness.
Because that's what it is now.
That's what it is now. So there's a firehouse museum over in Norman that I ended up, after here, living right in the backyard of it. Or our backyard was in there right at the park. Well, anyways, they had did all kinds of art classes and had a dark room and everything. So I ended up taking over the dark room there and just doing the chemicals and stuff so I could use them.
Awesome.
Yeah, use the facility for free. So loved it. Oh my God, I would have a dark room today if I could. I just loved it. So
I have similar ideas. Dark room, I kind of want a lab. I know people are like, a lab? Me a lab? I don't know, a lab. I like chemistry.
Yeah.
I like stuff.
I should have been a scientist, man, because I'm so curious about so many things. And there's so many things that I want to know that I don't have access to anyone that can help me figure it out. And it drives me absolutely crazy.
Oh, I think it was 2013. I remember trying to find something on YouTube, and I couldn't find it. And I thought to myself, I was like, I wonder when I'll be able to find how to do work on my car on YouTube. And just recently, I got bored and was looking up some truck stuff, and I found pretty much anything I could look up.
Yeah.
A YouTube video of a dude not just explaining what to do, but showing you. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, here we are. We're there. It's funny we talked about failure earlier, and I do have an interesting, unique perspective on failure because I wrote a paper actually in my English class here that often we all have fear of failure, but failure, you've heard the saying, failure isn't an option. I kind of disagree with that in a way because I feel like sometimes failure is not just an option, it's the only option.
Yeah.
Because you have to fail at certain things to learn and move on.
Exactly.
You have to. So though I do have the intrepidation about things and doing stuff, I feel like some of it's good and that the bad stuff is not as controlling as it is. It's mainly just time and funding.
Yeah.
So, because I remember, what was it? Somebody said once, your time, talent, and treasure. What do you spend your time on? What are your talents, and what do you treasure? And those are the things to think about.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to spend your time doing something that's not going to help you with your treasures or your talents.
Yeah. Because what are you doing then besides being a slave to the man?
Well, that was me for a while. Not just a slave to the man, but I was a slave to video games.
Okay.
I very did. I pretty much played them nonstop. Escapism,
Yeah.
To get into it. When I've been playing Nintendo and stuff since I was a kid. Very volatile family environment. My dad was an air traffic controller. If you know what air traffic controller is, super stressful.
I know that they are one of the top suicide rates. Yeah.
So that and other mental health problems that he never got really checked. It was a traumatic environment. Never realized that until I got out of the army. Start seeking help. And you realize, I think one of the things
the
that...
dysfunction that we accept. We just go along as it's just life.
Blissfully ignorant. You don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it is. And it isn't until you see how things are. I like to talk to people now about, that concept. And spanking is a perfect example, right? I got spanked. And then I'll talk to people about spanking. And I kind of have a mindset on it now that's neat. And I like to talk about it because it's good to argue about. But I feel like spanking is torture and abuse. Now, why is it torture? The definition of torture is doing something to someone that causes they don't feel good or this and that for the purpose of getting them to either change their behavior or do something. I feel like spanking is what parents do when they've reached the point of they don't know how to communicate anymore and they no longer have that ability to communicate, so they resort to what they know, which is I got spanked. Right? I told my buddy this because he's arguing. He's like, nah, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, there are people in the world that grew up and never got spanked.
Yes.
And they live perfectly normal lives.
And they're great people.
But my friend couldn't, that never even thought to him.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Because they don't have the skills to do something different.
Yeah.
To get what they want out of in a way, it's manipulative. You have to be a great manipulator to be a parent.
Yes. And
a motivator. You've got to figure out, and what I mean by that is you have to figure out what motivates your child.
Yes. Well, a lot of people, my mom, one of the ways she would get me to go to bed and motivate me at night was we had an area in the house that you could run, and she would time me and have me race. And she'd be like, oh, we're going to see if you can beat your record. You know what I mean? Motivating me to compete against myself because I'm competitive, get that energy out, and I would go to sleep.
I love it.
Jordan Peterson, I know a lot of people don't like him, but I enjoy a lot of stuff he's talked about. One of the things he said is if you're a parent and you want your toddler to clean up after themselves, what you do is you do it and then have them help you and then tell them and reward them. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you get it done.
Positive,
Same
yeah.
thing with dogs, same thing with cats.
Yes.
Operant conditioning and classical conditioning work with all animals. We
Yes.
are animals.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
kind of scary too when you think
Even
about it
in
like
relationships, in adult relationships,
Yes.
it's the exact same thing.
that. Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's neat.
It is.
So I do feel bad though for. I got a friend right now. We've been friends since 1993. It's one of my first friends when I moved to Florida, and he's hit what most people have come to know as midlife crisis. He worked in the film industry for a long time, did a lot of stuff, and then is bitter at the industry now because he realized, like, I basically paint fake pictures for people to waste time to. And then on top of all the other stuff in Weinstein, I'm sorry, not Weinstein, but all the
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Weinstein also, but Epstein and then
Epstein,
Diddy.
and Diddy,
yeah.
and all these people in the industry that are just not, it's not good. So he got out, and now he wants to sell all his stuff and hop in a van and do van life. And I was like, I get it, dude. I was there when I got out of the Army in 07, because I joined the Army because of propaganda. I enjoy talking about this now.
Okay.
9/11 happened, right?
Yeah.
Boom, all of a sudden everybody's, we're excited. I was outside at work. I had graduated high school, and I was at work, and the two dudes I worked with, we all got hired at the same time, went through a sales program together, and then became salesmen for this car place. And we were outside smoking cigarettes one day, and they were chatting it up about the Iraq invasion. We had just invaded Iraq. And they were both Navy retired guys.
So I was here
Oh,
in drawing class when 9/11 happened. I was on the way here and listening to it, and Joey and Heather in the morning show, and hearing them talk about it. And then right before I walked in, the second tower, the plane hit.
yeah. That's kind of how it happened to me, too.
Yeah, and so, crazy. So weird that I'm
I was at
again.
school my senior year. My mom was working there because her and my dad were going through a divorce, and she needed extra money. Plus, they cut her a massive deal. It was a private school, so we didn't have to pay as much because she was working there, so it worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
But I was walking to class, and I went to say hi to my mom because she was working as a lunch lady, and her and a couple people in there were watching TV, and she's like, "Oh, hey, Brandon, a plane hit the building, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, whoa, nuts." She's like, "Yeah, da, da, da." And I was like, "Okay, well, I got to go to class." Went to class. In class, we had the TV on. We were all watching. Second one hit.
Oh, gosh.
That was nuts.
Yeah. So that's what inspired you to enlist?
No, actually, what really got me was when my buddies asked me a simple question. The retired veteran guys. They were like, "What do you think?" And it hit me, and I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Well, what do you think about the invasion and what's going on in Iraq?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I don't know shit. I'm just a fucking 18-year-old from Jacksonville, Florida, right?"
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. I don't.
My daughter
know.
lives in Jacksonville
Oh,
right now.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm just a podunk swamp Florida man, and I'm sorry, I just brain farted.
You were talking with the veteran guys about what do you think about?
Yeah. Oh, I told them I don't know. The only things I know is what my parents have told me, what the TV has told me, I don't have any real opinions of my own. And then I sit there for a second. I was like, I think I should join the Army. And they were like, yes. And I left, talked to the recruiters there, and then I pissed hot really hardcore, and they made fun of me the whole time. And they're like, you can't be in the Army because you smoke too much weed and you're too fat. So I went on a delayed entry program, stopped smoking weed, lost a little bit of weight, and then I swore service and rose and did all my stuff on September 11th, 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was neat.
Yeah,
It didn't intend to work out, it just did. So it was kind of one of those moments for me it felt really good. I was like, oh shit, like I'm doing something. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had an idea. I've always been good with computers. Always been ridiculous with computers. Got in trouble for hacking in high school. Hacking,
then.
whatever. Yeah, it's so goofy now. Like literally all I did was if you open up Word document, right? Word document, open up file, you can go to explore and look for other files. I realized that I could go explore and then open up that place where the files are just by being like, oh, right click and open and boop. So I could travel the network and do whatever I wanted. I might have found some stuff I shouldn't have on a dean's computer, and I might have tried to break into them. And being that the place had its own guy running it all, they pulled... It was even funnier. I thought it was slick. The chick... There was a girl not in class that day. So I used her computer to do all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, when all the alarms went off about somebody trying to do stuff, they went and looked at the class and the computer, and they're like, wait, no one was there that day. Deacon Ryan already knew. So he goes, who's in the class? Saw my name. So they pulled the two people that sat next to that and asked them, and of course they dined me out and they pulled me in. They're like, what did you do this for?
Curiosity.
Because I found it. Like, I'm sorry. Suspended for 7 days.
Oh, wow.
My best friend got in a fist fight at school and they only suspended him for 3. So I was like, what? But I ended up, I kind of joined, after high school, I went in for Cisco Systems Networking, and then realized, like, I don't know if I want to be in an office. Join the Army.
Okay. And did you get to see much of the world?
Went to Baghdad in 05. It was my first time outside the U.S. Well, I went to Toronto in 2002 for 2000? Yeah, the year 2000 for World Youth Day. Got to see the Pope. It's kind of cool. But I don't really count that as outside. It was running me in New York. But no, deployed to Iraq in 05, and that was an eye-opener. Really was. It definitely not in Kansas anymore, you know? Because you get there and you realize, like, oh, shit. Like, we're flying in on a helicopter. You see tracers and bullets being shot at you. Like, not a lot, but it's like, oh, shit, rockets. And you're like, oh, my Jesus, this is happening. And you land and you get to some place, and you know what reminded me of that? You know what was even nuttier? Iraq reminded me of Arizona. When
just
I got
the terrain and
yeah, weather, everything. Yeah, it was neat. That's why I lived in Arizona. I got out of the Army, moved to Arizona for college, and lived there until 2 years ago.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, Baghdad was neat. I feel like I had a very unique experience in the Army. It was just a basic infantry grunt, but the unit we were with was kind of, I don't want to say prestigious, but the Thunder Run, when they took Baghdad and when the invasion happened, there was something called the Thunder Run, and that was when we went and took over Baghdad. The unit I was with, they were Charlie 315 Infantry, and they were one of the spearheads of the Thunder Run. There's a book called The Thunder Run, fantastic. It's about what happened. YouTube is now starting to have the battles being shown, so you can see the Humvee movements, and they break it out, and I'm getting goosebumps. It's fascinating. Sorry,
it's not live.
No, it's not live. Okay, it's just it's
footage, like documentary style.
Yeah,
type?
yeah.
Okay.
It's like the old documentaries of World War II battles where they break down movements and what happened.
But of that
yes,
area,
it's so fascinating.
That's cool.
So this unit, when they finished the invasion or whatever, came back, and I want to say they came back in 04, and then I got out of basic training May of 04. I went to airborne school and I dropped out of Ranger program because I thought I was going to go to Italy. All my friends dropped packets and got packets to go to Italy. I was like, well, I'm going to go to Italy. Fuck Ranger school. Italy sounds great. Nah. Dropped my packet and I got Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
But when we deployed that unit, when I got to them, they had just came back from deployment. And then to make matters worse, they got stop lost because we were going back in 05. So now all these guys that were supposed to be getting out have to stay in.
And they're pissed.
Oh, yeah. So they kind of took it out on us a little bit. We got hazed a lot. When people talk about military hazing, it's funny now because I kind of think a lot of the guys and people in now, they're all a bunch of pussies because I don't think they really understand the point of certain forms of hazing or why you might want to do it. But I really enjoy this topic because it's something that most people don't really ever experience. And it's, if you're preparing a group of people to go to war, you want to make sure those people are all strong in every way, shape, or form. Can you handle criticism? Not just criticism, can you get made fun of and not let it get to you? Can you handle this? Can you handle that? In basic training, when I went in, we had 400 plus people in the company. When I graduated 14 weeks later, we had 138. The attrition rate was that hardcore in 2004. But that was because our drill sergeants were real with us. They're like, look, we had to shake 3 days in. I had to shake everybody's hand around me, and the drill sergeant was like, three of the people surrounding you right now will probably be dead by the time you get out of the military. I was like, oh, yeah. Shit.
Where did you go to basic?
Fort Benning.
Benny,
Yep.
Georgia. Yeah.
Yep.
My brother was at Fort Sill.
Oh, yeah. No, I think my dad went there, maybe too. Yeah, a lot of
And
the
I think he was
non-combat guys go over there.
I think he graduated in 04, 05 and went in around, right around that era. So
Nice.
you guys would have been. He
Oh.
was Army. He was over in Korea and then
He might have
Germany.
been. I wonder if he.
In Afghanistan.
My good friend, the one I told you about, was on my Timball team. He was in Korea. Oh, but he was at a different time. Never mind. That's right. Yeah, he went to Korea, I think, in 2014.
We were actually all stationed over in Germany at the same time. So my husband at the time was a civilian engineer for the Air Force.
Nice.
And then my sister was married to a radar guy in the Army. And then my brother, I'm not sure what his MOS was, but anyways. And then my husband also, before he was Air Force, he was a mortarman.
Oh.
So anyway, so we ended up, all three of us were there for about 9 months together, my brother and my sister and I, because of our, my brother and then spouses, whatever, over
Neat.
in Germany. Yeah, it was so weird.
I bet that would be kind of fun, too.
Yeah, and I'm 5 and 6 years older than them
Oh.
too. So, just that our careers would all line up and things like all get the opportunity to be, and we were, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the landscape over there, but it's the largest concentration of Americans outside of the continental U.S.
In Germany?
In Germany.
Really?
Yeah, there's over 50,000, evidently. So, yeah. And all in that Rammstein area, if you want to pronounce it properly. I always felt so dumb doing that. I went there all the way through German 4, and I hated talking German. I can understand all of it, but I hate speaking
Oh, that's
it.
funny.
Anyways, there are 5 military installations, all within like 30 kilometers of each other.
Oh, that makes sense. People go there and end up being like, I like it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
so there's Landstuhl, there's Kaiserslautern, there's Rammstein, there's
no idea.
Well,
I
Landstuhl's
should.
like the biggest that all of the guys come from downrange that are injured. They go to Landstuhl first and stabilize before they go to Walter Reed.
Ah, okay, neat, yeah.
Yeah, so it was incredible. We were over there for 3 years, or I was over there for 3 years and loved it.
That'd be sweet. I would love to be able to travel to Germany.
I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Maybe not today, the way things are today.
Yeah.
But if everything was, again, like it was for then, I would go back for
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, I was telling my buddy that. He was like, oh, don't you want to travel or do this? I'm like, not right now. I'm a little too paranoid.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little too uncertain right now. Too many things that could realistically happen that could be very catastrophic for the entire planet.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little rough.
And then, like, the scale of there's that and everything in between that could happen, and you get, like, vulnerable, caught in another country.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that.
It's not for me right now.
Well, my friend I was telling you about earlier, the one I've known since '93, he was saying that he's totally up. He wants to maybe even move to another country, and I was like,
I don't even want to visit California right now.
oh, high five, right? God no, holy crap, dude. I had a buddy that lives out there, but luckily he lives in Crimson City, it's up north near the redwoods and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, no. As funny as it is, the last company I worked for, I was a private investigator. But I acted as a undercover security for ex-CEO's house, essentially. And fuck, what was I? I'm sorry, I'm brain farting again.
Undercover security for ex-CEO's house.
There's a point to it, but I can't remember.
Redwoods, up in that area, your buddy wanting to move there? I had said
Oh, that's right.
uncertainty, there's no way.
No, the lady wanted us to move to LA because she had her daughter in LA and was trying to be a YouTube star, singer, whatever. And wanted to move back to LA and get out of Phoenix. Like, and she was offering us like $80,000 a year or something. It's like, no, I'm not moving to LA
Not
for
enough
$80,000.
for
Are you kidding
$80,000.
me?
That's not even
No, that's
50
like,
here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's not going to do me nothing. I might have to pay most of that in rent, and then on top of that, I'm not going to be able to afford a place near where she lived. Her house was one of the bigger houses down Beverly Hill or something. So what ended up happening with this lady is she moved from upstate New York and bought a home in LA in the rich area. But the home she bought was one of the richest ones there, and the news went ham and broadcast that she had done that. And then they started getting all sorts of people trying to get money out of them and this and that. And then that's when she ended up hiring private security. Moved to Phoenix, bought her old house back, started doing that, and then brought us on board. Actually worked out great. She hired us just to help with the move-in, just to watch people, because all her assets were in a lot of the stuff in the home. And I did so well, basically, she brought us on full-time to do security. It was great. No, they had messed up. I couldn't even believe it. The company that shipped her stuff from upstate New York shipped it to some vaults in Arizona, and she had 40 vaults. Then each vault is like 20 by 30 foot. Anyways, so the company that accepted all this stuff from New York then delivered some stuff to the house. Well, they bring in this huge crate, massive crate, and it was a marble top for one of her very nice dressers for the living room. I see it. They drop it, put it down. I'm like, open it. And they're like, what? Open it. I don't sign a damn thing until I see it. They pop it open. It's cracked in half. Picture, send it to her, get on the phone. I'm like, this is what just happened. And she goes, oh my God, thank you. Ends up, that company that dropped it off to us, they didn't check it when they accepted it from the other company.
Oh no.
So it's on them.
Be liable, yeah.
And just that attention to detail got us the contract. And it was like, yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's cool.
I love that job. I wish we still had it, but COVID and all that fun stuff pushed me out of Arizona. It got expensive. My rent went from $1,700 to $2,400 or $2,500.
Oh my gosh.
Overnight.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. They had people we rented from a corporation, and they had bought up so many homes in the area that they're like, most of the homes in the area have this price, so we're raising it up. You guys own all the homes in the come on, whatever. So I said, oh, well, Phoenix, it was nice, and moved out here. Time for a new adventure.
Goodness. Crazy. Well, that's cool. Total random chance that we end up meeting last night playing pool. I haven't played pool since maybe I was 20. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow,
so,
really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, like I said, I almost didn't say anything to you guys.
Well, and we had actually planned to go to a different place and then had circumstances, blah, 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 and ended back over on this side of town. So and she lives close nearby there. And so it was like, okay, well, let's just go here for a few minutes, you know. She's just recently gotten into playing pool. And so she's joined 2 leagues in the last couple of weeks. They've had a bye week or something with both groups. So she hasn't gotten to play. And I was like, and I've been saying, okay, I go to bed at like 8 o'clock. So I was like, okay, sometime I'll go. And a couple of weeks ago, I went to league night one night and stayed for a couple of games. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. And I'm not big on being around smoke and, you know, all the things. There's no reason for me to be there last night at all whatsoever. Yeah, and so we ended up there, and then, like you said, you're hesitant to even come over and bother us, you know, for the raffle. But
yeah, they were telling me, go sell stuff for the raffle. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's totally crazy.
Yeah.
So what inspired me to say, hey, well, first of all, I noticed the placement on I noticed your tattoo, but what drew me was the placement of it. And we have matching tattoos, which to me, when I got it, stood for suicide awareness.
Yep.
It's since become more of a like overcoming any kind of struggle in life, which I think is great.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not just for veterans. It's continue your story. Don't put a period.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the whole meaning of it. Gosh, I can't remember when I got it specifically. I think it was maybe back in 15, maybe something around in there. But I had a coworker that succeeded.
Got mine
after trying once and succeeded the
nice.
second.
No, it's my first tattoo. I always wanted them, but I'm one of those kind of hardcores that like I want art. I don't want just whatever. Mm-hmm. But I can't. I have it now planned out. But anyways, my buddy, the canine guy, we had trained this tattoo parlors, dogs here and there, and had been going in there. My buddy was getting tattoos through him, and he did this big event where he came out and said, "Hey, I'll give you a free tattoo if you just come out." It's for veteran awareness, a big veteran event.
Really?
Yeah. And his big thing was he had done it the year before and did enough. His goal was to try to break the most tattoos in like an hour or a day or some shit. And I think he had 440. He did. And it broke the record, but then I guess Guinness Book of World Records or someone was like, no, it's not official. He's like, whatever, screw you guys. But then the next year he did it again for the hell of it.
And broke the record.
I don't know. I don't remember if he did again, but he probably did. Not many people do that stuff.
Anything that you want to do, organize like that. Okay, so I have so I started out photography, and at that point I was in collections at a small car lot here and a waitress, right? And so I took that in a graphic design or Photoshop class. And so in '05, we moved. At that point, I was doing collections and verifying people's insurance and that kind of stuff, scheduling them for cataract surgery. And so I'd done all the administrative stuff. I learned all the different, facets of office administration, those kind of things. And I knew that I kind of wanted to do something a little different. And I really enjoyed the photography class. And I actually entered a contest here and won the contest and ended up selling my painting. It was so funny, or not my painting, my photograph. When I dropped it off, she was like, "So how much do you want to sell it for?" And I was like, I didn't, that was not on my radar. Like, I don't want to sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's my art. Like, it's mine. I didn't do this for anyone else. So anyways, it's like, okay, I guess $80, thinking no way it would ever sell whatsoever. And of course it sold.
Immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was the only print that and it took a lot to get that print too, because of course I was learning how to develop my actual prints, not just my film. So I developed the film, I developed the print, and there's an art to developing black and white prints. There's a lot of dodging and burning and things that you do digitally now with that quick that you do manually to get the perfect exposure, right, across the board. But anyway, long story short, moved up to DC with his job and was like, okay, well, this is an area that there's a lot more opportunity for that kind of work. And so I applied to be an office administrative type person at a local photography company, and they just so happened to be the photography, like the official photographer for the White House during like all of the Reagan, Clinton, even Kennedy, I think, like he had been out there for years. And so, it was super cool. So I started just doing nothing but putting orders together and shipping them out. And then next thing I knew, we would do, go set up at like the new law firm, not the law firms, with the new partners at the law firms that would be like hundreds of them that would come in. Then we would do headshots for them all. So I ended up working into that, and then I would do like the congressmen and senators and all the constituents that would be meeting with them. And so my portfolio was super cool on the commercial side, but I hated every second of it. So I wanted something more artistic, so I branched into wedding work and blah 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 blah. Well, I ended up taking over all of their graphic design, their editing, and all of that kind of stuff. And then when I moved into the wedding side, I started we were shipping all of our album work to Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Graphy Studios is the company there, Italian company. It's amazing quality. And there wasn't anybody else that was doing any kind of work like that. Well, anyways, we started, everything started looking template, like, you know what I mean? So I took over the design, graphic, the custom design work on all of our wedding albums and that kind of stuff. And I don't know how I got off on all of that tangent, but all of that led me to being able to, throughout my career, fall back on being a photographer and a graphic artist and, all of those things. Nice. Web design. I taught myself web design since. And
I learned HTML in high school, but now it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, exactly. I was teaching myself coding over in Germany online, which was insane at the time because I was going through a lot of health issues then too, and terrible marriage, and and he traveled all the time, and so it was just me and my daughter, and then I was going through all of my fertility problems then, and I had scheduled. At this point in my career, that was the second time I had built a photography business, and I wanted to get more into families and all babies and all this kind of stuff before I realized my diagnosis. So I came home to do a big surgery to separate all my organs and to get me ready to be able to have a baby, right? Woke up with a completely different prognosis and everything's completely blocked, and now the only way you'll be able to do this is IVF, and we're so broke then. There's no way this is in our future.
Anyway,
oh gosh.
now?
Well, it was like $50,000 here in the US then. Yeah. And then no, I'm sorry. That was for surrogacy. It was $15,000 per try here in the US then.
Wow.
No guarantee that it would take
right
$15,000. Yeah. So there's no way that we could do that. But anyway, so before we left for, schedule the surgery, came home, I had scheduled all of these babies and bellies and families when I returned. And then I got that prognosis of you can't have kids that you desperately want to.
That's
and
rough.
So it was nothing but all of that in my face. So yes, absolutely went through my own experience with depression, deep depression.
Yeah.
And what's really kind of odd is when my husband was first deployed I was like 20, 21. I need to put my jacket on, I'm getting cold.
Oh, I know, that's why I brought this.
I know, right? He was deployed, and they told me that I was depressed, and so they put me on antidepressants. When I wasn't depressed, I had a gallbladder problem that was completely full of stones and disease. The 2 years of the time I finally ended up in the emergency room, couldn't take the pain anymore. And the whole time they kept telling me it was just depression.
Oh, care for your mic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, depression, no problem, just depression. Here's your pills, whatever. So at that point that I was actually, I wouldn't say actively suicidal, but I had a thought at one point. I was on our 3rd floor balcony. We lived in this incredible place over in Germany, right? And this voice is saying, jump, jump. And I'm like, thankfully, immediately, no, don't do that, because it's not going to kill you. It's just going to handicap you. And, you know what I mean? This kind of thing. So thankfully, I made the right choice then. But that was my first real eye-opening experience with suicidal thoughts and anything like that. And up until that point, I prided myself on being very strong and very capable and able to handle anything, and a competitive athlete, and all the things.
Right.
And so that was really hard for me to handle, because for one, I didn't know anyone at that time other than my best friend in high school. Was my first experience with suicide. She had tried when we were 15, and then I had a boyfriend that told me he was going to kill himself if I did break up with him.
Emotional manipulation is so disgusting.
Yeah, and so then, like I said, I had my own. I came back from Germany, moved back, and was going to school here again for physical therapy and working at a physical therapy place. And our receptionist killed herself on the second attempt, and then my sister, my cousin, my baby cousin actually succeeded 9 years ago. And that's what got me back into podcasting this year. Not really got me back into it. Just so happened my brother and I were like, hey, let's get back into this. Yes, let's do that. Okay, what are we going to talk about? Well, I don't know. When are we going to do it? Let's do it next Tuesday. Well, next Tuesday rolls around, and it ended up being National Suicide Awareness Day.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, well, that's absolutely what we need to start with. So we started our first episode back of the Bro Sessions with suicide awareness. And then we've done, I think 3, maybe more. And all of them are just building on that last conversation of, I was like, okay, well, here we're bringing all this awareness, all the demographics and all the things. We really need to provide coping skills for people, right?
Yes.
Because that,
oh my
to
God.
me, which we kind of touched on earlier, kind of brings us full circle, is the problem, is like with parents and how they are unable to really parent well, or dog owners, or all these
know
things.
what they know.
Right. They don't have those healthy coping skills to be able to, avoid suicidal thoughts, depression, abusing someone, all of those things. And we look at that as productive members of society. Sometimes we don't have that perspective, that personal perspective with it. And you think, okay, how could that ever happen? How could a person ever get to that point where they would make that choice? Or
Very easy.
Right.
Yeah.
It really actually is very, very easy. It's a very thin line. And thankfully, there are people that are mentally just resilient and don't ever really go there. But I know that.
Oh, hold on a second. I apologize.